What's up, guys? Hayden75 here, and I know everybody's been talking about Dustborn and all the controversies going on around it, and, you know, people saying it's propaganda, and honestly, I think it's more than that. I don't think it's necessarily just propaganda. I think this is a Marxist training tool, and I'll take you guys through and I'll kind of show you the reason that I have that thought, and we'll just look at some of the other stuff having to do with the game as well. But here we have from the Niche Gamer, the US government is investing in counter-disinformation video games. Citizens have discovered that the United States government is investing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in what they are calling counter-disinformation games. According to a funding opportunity from the U.S. Department of State, $275,000 USD was earmarked by the U.S. Embassy in the Netherlands for a pitch meeting these speculations. 1. Produce an English and Dutch language pilot version of a counter-disinformation game. Requirements below. 2. Produce a French version. 3. Produce one additional translation to European, Asian, and/or African language to be determined at a later date. Host the game on the company's own servers. Now, here's one thing that this throws a little bit of a red flag for me. Why would they want to host it on their own servers? The reason they would have to do that is so that nobody else outside of this internal company can actually take it down. So they could remove it from, say, Steam, or they could remove it from the PlayStation Store or any other store if there was enough backlash. However, the game, the physical copies of the game or previously downloaded games could still be played as long as those servers are maintained. 5. Develop and implement data collection and analysis methodologies to demonstrate the project's achievement of expected results. That's not to make money. It's a taxpayer-funded game. I don't think they really need to make money on this game. Promote games to target audiences. You can read the full funding opportunity from the U.S. Embassy in the Netherlands site here. Disinformation has been a growing concern on a global scale as countries such as the United States, China, Russia, and more fight to control the prevailing narrative. However, who gets to decide what's disinformation and what is truth? Gamers have grown weary of overt propaganda and social messaging in video games from all sides of the political spectrum, and it stands to reason that cynicism will extend to any game developed as a result of this funding. The funding was offered in 2021, so any games which receive this funding are likely to be coming out soon if they're not already. So, you guys know that with Dustborn, they have these special abilities, right? There's the trigger ability that we've all seen, where it pops up here. They seem super weird about race, and it's got the, you're a racist. Canceling. We've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots in battle. This could be a useful tool against enemies. Who do we see doing that all the time? Now, I know people say, oh, this is Antifa Simulator, and that's what it is, but Antifa uses a certain set of tactics. Bully. Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do, or to make them feel bad about themselves. In fights, this could be highly effective. We see them doing these at protests. All of this stuff is stuff that we do see in real life. Normalize. We've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives us the ability to make people think certain behaviors or feelings are normal. This is what they're trying to do in society. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to point out and show you why not only is this propaganda, but this is a training tool set up for a younger generation, is what it looks like to me, or as something to encourage people. Here on my next tab, we have the Citizen's Handbook, Rules for Radicals. I'm going to try to read through this real quick, but the reason I'm going to go over this is I want you to understand what this is and how these people got these tactics that they've used to push into our society. In 1971, Saul Alinsky wrote an entertaining classic on grassroots organizing titled Rules for Radicals. Those who prefer cooperative tactics describe the book as out of date. Nevertheless, it provides some of the best advice on confrontational tactics. And that's where we get the divide between the two sides. Whereas one side really does want to be a more cooperative and kind of peaceful side as they're trying to push and maintain what society has been, versus the other side that is aggressive and confrontational, and that's why they're able to take ground. Alinsky begins this way. What follows is for those who want to change the world from what it is to what they believe it should be. The Prince was written by Machiavelli for the haves on how to hold power. Rules for Radicals is written for the have-nots on how to take it away. His rules derive from many successful campaigns where he helped poor people fighting power and privilege. For Saul Alinsky, organizing is the process of highlighting what is wrong and convincing people they can actually do something about it. The two are linked. If people feel they don't have the power to change a bad situation, they stop thinking about it. And that is one of the reasons that we are fighting a culture war that people say doesn't exist. Because if they can tell you that the culture war doesn't exist, you don't do anything about it. You don't push back. There's a reason we call these people cry bullies. They push their way in, they get what they want, and then they hold that ground. And here, whenever we get to the rules, you'll see why. According to Alinsky, the organizer, especially a paid organizer from the outside, must first overcome suspicion and establish credibility. Next, the organizer must begin the task of agitating, rubbing resentments, fanning hostilities, and searching out controversy. This is what we see constantly in the Dustborn game. Okay, they take the Rules for Radicals and Saul Alinsky's teachings, and they made a game about it. Why? To get people engaged in it. You see it on the news, you see it in the game. Maybe you'll do something too, is what they want. This is necessary to get people to participate. An organizer has to attack apathy and disturb the prevailing patterns of complacent community life where people have simply come to accept a bad situation. Alinsky would say the first step in community organization is community disorganization. Through a process combining hope and resentment, the organizer tries to create a mass army that brings in as many recruits as possible from local organizations, churches, service groups, labor unions, corner gangs, and individuals. And that's exactly what we saw with the Black Bloc and the Antifa riots. And they say as much. They say we're people from all walks of life and all of this crazy stuff, but they're people who have been quote-unquote disenfranchised. Alinsky provides a collection of rules, so we'll just get right into the rules. Rule number 1, power is not only what you have, but what an opponent thinks you have. If your organization is small, hide your numbers in the dark and raise a din that will make everyone think you have many more people than you do. This is exactly what they started off doing. They don't need to do that anymore because they do have a higher number of people. And some of those people are just people who enjoy the chaos, but nonetheless, they have some numbers now at least. And I believe that Dustborn is a tool to get more people involved in it whenever we inevitably see this stuff happen again, which could happen this coming November. Rule number 2, never go outside the experience of your people. The result is confusion, fear, and retreat. That's why whenever you confront them with actual truths, they can't handle it because they are so locked into the way that they believe that if they're forced to think that anything else is even possible, it does cause them confusion and they back off. We see this, like we're seeing the pushback on Dustborn. Rule 3, whenever possible, go outside of the experience of an opponent. Here you want to cause confusion, fear, and retreat. Rule 4, make opponents live up to their own book of rules. You can kill them with this, for they can no more obey their own rules than the Christian church can live up to Christianity. So if you have morals, they will use those morals against you. Rule 5, ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. It's hard to counterattack ridicule, and it infuriates the opposition, which then reacts to your advantage. What do you think that is? When they come up and say you're racist, and then these cops end up shooting each other. ridiculing somebody is a hard thing and it causes people to lash out. Rule 6, a good tactic is one your people enjoy. If your people aren't having a ball doing it, there is something very wrong with the tactic. That's why a lot of the time whenever you see these riots and things going on, people are having a good time. They're recording all of it. It's like a chaotic party to these people. A tactic that drags on for too long becomes a drag. Commitment may become ritualistic as people turn to other issues. That's Rule 7. Rule 8, keep the pressure on. Use different tactics and actions, and use all events of the period for your purpose. That's why they bring this into everything. The major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. It is this that will cause the opposition to react to your advantage. They want everybody to be reactionary. Rule 9, the threat is more terrifying than the thing itself. When Alinsky leaked word that large numbers of poor people were going to tie up the washrooms of O'Hare Airport, Chicago city authorities quickly agreed to act on a long-standing commitment to a ghetto organization. They imagined the mayhem as thousands of passengers poured off of planes to discover every washroom occupied. Then they imagined the internal embarrassment and damage to the city's reputation. So they don't even have to do the thing. All they have to do is make you think they could do thing. And we see that a lot in Dustborn as well. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check Madam Savvy's playthrough on this. She slogged through the whole thing, and you constantly run into this kind of stuff, where there's a threat of something happening, and it causes the opponents in the game to do the thing that the player character desires them to do. Rule 10, the price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Avoid being trapped by an opponent or an interviewer who says, okay, what would you do? That's why they refuse to talk to people, right? Rule 11, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, polarize it. Don't try to attack abstract corporations or bureaucracies. Why do you think Antifa is formed as an idea? They say there is no actual organization there. That's why it's built that way. They use that as the defense because it is hard to attack a quote-unquote idea or abstract corporation. Identify a reasonable individual. Ignore attempts to shift or spread the blame. According to Alinsky, the main job of the organizer is to bait an opponent into reacting. The enemy properly goaded and guided in his reaction will be your major strength. This entire game is based on that premise. This is not just some game that got put out, and it has nothing to do with disinformation, like they claim that it did in the funding filings. This is a tool to teach people how to handle changing the reality that they are living in to the way that they want it to be. And they're getting a lot of pushback from it. Dustborn developer Red Thread Games claims response to game has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse. This is over at That Park Place. Go check them out. Give the article a read. We'll go over some of it here, though. Red Thread Games, a developer for Dustborn, claimed the conversation around the game has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse. In a post to the company's official account on X, it wrote, "Since we first announced Dustborn, we've read your comments and listened to your feedback, hopes, and wishes for the game. Over the past 4 years, our team has poured their hearts into telling a story that's deeply meaningful to us," which is a story of radical revolutionaries, but we know that. A story about the power of words, about building a world where everyone can feel safe, about love, friendships, and robots, of course, because they have to throw in that quirky little thing so that it's not so serious, right? The company continued, "We expected Dustborn to spark conversation and debate and looked forward to engaging with our partners in a positive and constructive fashion. Unfortunately, that conversation has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse." It then declared, "We welcome thoughtful feedback and respectful criticism. We embrace discussion and debate, but we have zero tolerance for hate speech, harassment, and threats of any kind. Those who engage in that behavior will be removed from our community. To everyone else, your support means everything. Constructive feedback pushes us to learn and evolve." They only want the feedback that actually is going to more tailor things to the message that they're trying to push out. We know that because, if we go back here, rule number 2, Never go outside of the experience of your people. The result is confusion, fear, and retreat. What are we seeing here, guys? Madam Savvy notes the game encourages and approves of deception, manipulation, and bullying. She wrote as part of a lengthy response to Red Thread Games, "You want to tell a story about the power of words. Why did you choose to use words of hate and hurt for the main character? Why are we forced to use words of violence against our own friends? These are unavoidable moments no matter what you do." She questioned, "You say you want to build a world where everyone can feel safe. Then why did every single person we come across have their life ruined by the player character and the group?" Good question, because they're trying to create a world. They want to change reality from what it actually is. Remember, Alinsky begins this way. What follows is for those who want to change the world from what it is to what they believe it should be. Why aren't the powers of packs something like salve or healing? Why is everything based on manipulation? Because this is a training tool. This shows people how to change things. It follows Alinsky's rules. Where was the love when we bullied Fred and lied about her? Pax's mother grows opium for a cult that's never mentioned again. Is that love? Why would she put her own people in danger by growing opium? It's a highly addictive drug and can be used to keep people compliant. I'm sure you understand what I'm insinuating. She then reiterated, is it friendship when we're forced to manipulate our friends to bully Theo? Why can't we prank Sal while she plays, and we can prank Theo, who has done nothing wrong? And if you don't know, this character, Sal, is Sai, I'm sorry. Sai is a Muslim character, I believe, that's shown praying multiple times, and Theo is a Christian in the game that you can actually prank while he's praying. For you to write what you did, you must like modern SpongeBob Squidward torture episodes where he doesn't do anything to deserve it. And Savvy's correct, but again, it's because they're trying to change things. Of course, Kotaku's in full support of the game. Nobody didn't see that coming. But go over there, read the article. Savvy makes some great points right here. I'm surprised you didn't touch on the pro-life aspects of the game. 4 months pregnant and something you don't learn until hour 8 of the game, assuming you didn't read the promo content. When pregnancy is acknowledged, suddenly everyone knows. Here, let's just open this. But even more interestingly, at 4 months in the womb, she claims she can feel the child, hear it, and by the end claims it for it to be her source of strength. Now, this is a very long post, but yeah, go follow Madam Savvy, go subscribe to her on YouTube, follow her on Twitter. She's great and super based. But yeah, I mean, this, like I said, this isn't just propaganda, because propaganda is something to put out a message. This isn't actually something putting out a message. This is something that's showing people. It's another way for people to learn these tactics, because you see them on TV, and then you see them in the game, and you see how they do actually work. Let's see, the reviews now are mostly positive at 113 reviews. Let's look at it. Of course, recently, propaganda is pain. Just buy Subverse instead. This game is literal government propaganda. Over here on the recommendeds, 2 hours. The game is aesthetically repulsive and an insult to the entire project of world civilization. Playing it for only 3 hours, I developed a terrible headache within the first. However, the US government provided the developers with a grant of $250,000 to combat misinformation, and I support the Free West. Dustborn has the vibe of "Be Gay, Do Crime" sticker slapped on a graffiti-covered wall. At first, and then it gets deep. 21 hours on record. Here, takeaway. Found a family touring across a really intense, mostly in how dangerous it felt. America as a mediocre punk rock band. Mediocre because the best I could do in the rhythm games was okay. Worth it. I'm glad I came across this game. Pretty good so far. 1.7 hours on record. So, since the time of review, they've played for 0.2 more hours. Only completed issue 4 so far, but I'm loving this game. I'm telling you, this is not... It's not just a game. Game isn't gay enough. These are great. Truly awe-inspiring game of the century. The game is purposely designed to be god-awful. It's a clever tactic used by the devs to allow for more people to go outside and reevaluate their entire life choice after playing through the good-for-nothing prologue. That's funny. So, I don't know. That's my opinion. Oh, that's interesting. 114... It's the mixed. I don't have mixed reviews on. That's weird. Anyway, up here at the top, like I said, it's still showing mostly positive. So there's something weird going on with this, and I think, honestly, that we're going to see this game possibly be removed around the time of the election. I think it's not going to go the way they want it to, but I think that this is probably put out at this time because they want to do what they can to create the world that they want, not the world that they live in. And just for the giggles, let's check it, let's refresh it right now. Playing 15 minutes ago, we have a grand total of 30 people. The 24-hour peak is still sitting at 43, and the all-time peak has not moved from 76. Thank you guys for checking out the video. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you played the game, let me know what you thought of it. I think I know what you probably thought of it, but, you know, comments are good. I love seeing what you guys think. And what do you think of this video? Let me know, please. I think there's a couple of good things going on in gaming as well. So, let's talk about those next time, because I'm getting tired of Dustborn and Marxist tools. They found a new way to try to get people trained up. The thing is, I don't think it's going to work, because the only people enjoying it are the people who are already on the same page with them. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you in the next one.